Hey folks, this is Jesse Cope, back with another episode of the American Soul podcast. Hope y'all are doing well, wherever y'all are and whatever part of the day you're in. I sure do appreciate you joining me, giving me a little bit of your time. I know y'all have other things you could do, and probably a million different things pulling you a million different directions, all vying for your time. So thank you for spending a little bit of it here. Hopefully it gets you through a little bit of your day, whether that is schoolwork or homework or cleaning, laundry, diapers, dishes, working on fence, driving, hauling something up and down the road, conference period, lunch, getting ready in the morning, or sitting around the table in the evening. I'm glad you're here. The homestead remains hot and dry. Potatoes are in, and so at least we have that. And it looks like fall, but it's not, because it's still the surface of the sun outside. Father, thank you for today. Thank you for you and your Son, Jesus Christ, and your Holy Spirit. Thank you for the time to record this podcast. Thank you for the people that listen to it, share it, subscribe to it. Be with them and their families. Bless them. Surround them with your angels. Protect them from evil of any kind. Thank you for the time to try and turn our country back to you, Father. Help us to use it wisely. Thank you for those who have gone before us, those who were willing to pay such a high price to ensure freedom and liberty. Help us to be willing to do the same. Help us to seek you and your kingdom and your righteousness first, to love you with all that we are, to love our neighbors as ourselves. Help us, Father, to do our duty and to leave the results up to you. Guide my words here, please. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, we ask and pray. Amen. All right. We'll get going. We're going to go back to this little series that we're doing on the attacks that are growing in the United States. We're going to jump back in here. So Thomas Paine, we were talking about, had written this Age of Reasoning, or whatever it was called. It was an attack on Christianity. And we're kind of looking at the founder's response to this. We read one from Benjamin Franklin yesterday and also one from Samuel Adams. We're going to read another one or two today. And then we're going to kind of look at, compare that to what happens today for the next few episodes after this. What's going on today, the difference. Because this is the difference, folks. This is one of the ways, the angles that you can see the major divide in America today, right? One way to look at it is you have a group of people that acknowledge that they're sinful, that they're broken, that they need a redeemer, that they need salvation, right? That we have to have something greater than ourselves, not only in purpose, but in order to save us. That know that they sin, but that try and follow those principles that are perfect. And then on the other hand, you have a pretty good group of people that not only don't think that they sin, don't think that they make mistakes, and really when they say it, it's only kind of like, yeah, I make mistakes, but they really don't think that. They don't even acknowledge that sin exists. They talk about evil. You know, I saw this recently, folks, and I won't go down this rabbit trail too long, I promise. But when you really see evil, when you see evil in the world, you automatically understand that there must be true good, right? And not the human concept of, well, I did something, but really the true concept, God's showing us good versus evil. When you see evil, you know that good has to exist, right? And if there's true good, pure good, and we know that we're not it, then we have to have something to bridge that gap to reconcile us to that good. And it certainly isn't going to be our own actions. So anyway, where did we go? All right, we're going to read one or two more. John Adams. The Christian religion is, above all other religions that ever prevailed or existed in ancient or modern times, the religion of wisdom, virtue, equity, and humanity. Let the blackguard Paine say what he will. Blackguard's a fancier way of saying a scoundrel. Somebody that's up to no good and not worth a whole lot. U.S. Supreme Court Justice William Patterson, who also happened to be a signer of the Constitution and a revolutionary general, when he learned that some Americans seemed to agree with Paine's work. Infatuated Americans, why renounce your country, your religion, and your God? Oh, shame! Where is thy blush? Is this the way to continue independent and to render the 4th of July immortal in memory and song? This is another one of those quotes, folks, that I really probably ought to try and read every podcast. But, I mean, if I did that, the podcast would turn into day-long podcasts. And then some, really, folks. If you're just new to the podcast and just joining it, we've been doing this. This is going into our 3rd year now. And we have people all over the world that listen to it, all over the United States that listen to it. And I haven't even scratched the surface. Maybe I've scratched the surface, but just barely. But this is a great quote. Infatuated Americans. We're so quick to turn to the latest thing, the latest fad, right? The latest diet, the latest gimmick, the latest TikTok reel or video or whatever, Instagram reel or whatever else. I mean, look at the way we communicate now. We hardly use complete sentences, if at all, anymore. Right? We just want the quickest, fastest, newest. Why? He says, why renounce your country, your religion, and your God? We were a Christian nation when we were born, folks. The overwhelming majority, over 90% were Christian. Our founders would never, they said this in their own words, folks, they would have never countenanced setting up the Constitution or the Declaration if they thought it was going to do and be used the way it's used today. They would have made sure that we weren't trying to degrade Christianity and lower it to the level of false religions or atheism. Is this the way to continue independent and to render the 4th of July immortal in memory and song? If we don't look to God, folks, if we don't look toward Jesus Christ and faith in Him, and if we don't put our country at a higher priority than it is now, we're going to lose it all. A couple more quotes here from the Founders Bible, just little blips. Benjamin Rush said the work by Paine was absurd and impious. Charles Carroll, who we've talked about once or twice on the podcast, described it as blasphemous writings against the Christian religion. John Witherspoon, ignorant of human nature as well as an enemy to the Christian faith. John Quincy Adams, John Adams' son, Mr. Paine has departed altogether from the principles of the revolution. And there's a number of others that they have here, folks, that are really good. But I think I'm going to leave with that last one. John Quincy Adams. Mr. Paine has departed altogether from the principles of the revolution. The principles of the revolution were the principles of Christ. This is John Quincy Adams talking about it, but his father, who was also a president, arguably the second most important founding father in some circles, he noted it. The principles that we achieved independence were the principles of Jesus Christ. We read that quote often. When we go away from those principles, right, then we go away from freedom and liberty. We go away from the principles that ended slavery here in America. We go away from the principles that spread Christianity across the globe, that brought peace and hope to the Native American tribes here, to peoples all across the world. When we go away from those principles of Christ, just like every other time in our history when we have, we darken the world and we head down a path just like those paths that we saw in the 20th century. Stalinist Russia, communist, Maoist China, Nazi Germany. They're all the same, folks. Communism, socialism, fascism, Nazism, leftism. They're all just different shades of the same evil, right? It's a great quote, John Quincy Adams. Mr. Paine has departed altogether from the principles of the revolution. So that's what our founders did. When Mr. Paine made his little attack on Christianity and Jesus Christ, what do we have going on today? And so we're going to spend the next few episodes talking about this. I'm going to pull some quotes for the rest of this episode from the Founders Bible, and you'll get the idea. A state employee, these are stories taken out of the news. The Founders Bible just put kind of the headlines or the highlights in a list here. A state employee in Minnesota was barred from parking his car in the state parking lot because he had a religious sticker on his bumper. A kindergarten student in Saratoga Springs, New York, was forbidden to say a prayer over her lunch and was scolded by a teacher for doing so. A military honor guardsman was removed from his position for saying, "God bless you and this family," and "God bless the United States of America," while presenting a folded flag to a family during a military funeral, a statement the family requested be made at the funeral. Senior citizens meeting at a community center in Balk Springs, Texas, were prohibited from praying over their own meals. A library employee in Russellville, Kentucky, was barred from wearing her necklace because it had a small cross on it. College students serving as residential assistants, RAs, which your podcast host here actually did in college too, in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, probably didn't pronounce that right, were prohibited from holding Bible studies in their own private dorm rooms. A third grader in Orono, Maine, wore a t-shirt containing the words Jesus Christ and was required to turn the shirt inside out so the words could not be seen. Orange County, California, a pastor was arrested for quietly playing Christian music at his picnic table in a public park. 2 Gideons were arrested in Florida for standing on a sidewalk and giving Bibles to those who wanted them. I think one of the interesting things here, and we'll wrap up, I'm done, is to note how widespread this is in states that are considered very liberal and states that are considered pretty conservative. And it reminds me of a comment, I think it was Samuel Adams, but it might have been Patrick Henry. I can't remember right now. And they talked about the fact, I think it was, it doesn't matter. I think it was Patrick Henry. Talked about the fact that their brethren farther away in a different part of the country were already under attack by the British. And did we really think that it was going to stay there and not come to us in Virginia? Folks, if you think that this persecution that you see in some of these more liberal states and cities is going to stay there, it already hasn't. It's already spread to smaller communities. If you think the dysfunction in the education system, right, the attacks there, the attacks in our institutions and our military, if you think they're going to stay somewhere else just because it's a long way away, you're just fooling yourself. I think again, and I'm stretching here, Martin Luther King, something along the comment, an attack on justice anywhere is an attack on justice everywhere. I'm paraphrasing horribly. Some of y'all know that quote, but we really need to kind of think about that and realize that just because it's somewhere else doesn't mean it's not going to come here. And at least, the least we can do is to strengthen our commitment in our own local community to require that those ties to God and Jesus Christ and country be strengthened in our own community in the hopes that we can go somewhere else and help them, right? You kind of shore up your defenses where you are in a war in the hopes that you can venture out and try and form a beachhead and kind of, take the fight back to the enemy. And make no doubt, folks, our greatest enemy today here in America is our own fellow citizens internally that are pushing for this. It's not China, it's not Russia, it's not Iran, it's not North Korea. It's our own citizens here in this country who are trying to destroy the country from within by their actions, regardless of what their words say. Without doubt, greatest threat to our republic today. Always is. Lincoln talked about it. We'll go back and read that speech. God bless y'all. God bless your families. God bless your marriages. God bless America. If you get a chance, share the podcast with one person. If you get a chance, subscribe to the extra episodes on Buzzsprout. $3 a month. You get all the extra episodes. Thank y'all so much for being here. God bless y'all again. We'll talk to y'all soon. Looking forward to it.